So wouldn't you want to be getting the most that you can out of your training? I know I would. I'm trying to do things optimally as best I can. At least, I'm trying to find that sweet spot of where optimal meets passion and excitement. I think that that's really the best way to go about it because you still want to have fun. What's the point in optimally training if we're not having fun anymore? Hello, everyone. My name is Jonah Crowley. I'm a kinesiology graduate, but my real skill lies in having extensive background and passion for this field. I have over a decade's worth of hands-on experience and doing my own research as well. And I just love to talk about it. And so today, that is exactly what we are going to be doing. And I'm really going to break down kind of like my 5 pillars when it comes to hypertrophy in specific. Basically, the pillars are all about like choosing which exercise to perform and then what parameters we want in terms of how we're going to be hitting those exercises. So let's start with pillar 1, which is that you should be picking an exercise in accordance to the muscle that you're trying to hit functions. So let's say that you are choosing a chest press exercise. Well, we know that the chest does a large degree of humeral, so the humerus adduction, so bringing it across the body, and also a great deal of humeral flexion, so bringing it up like this. So whenever you're doing a movement that's going like that, you know that that's going to be a great exercise for the chest musculature. And then we could take it a step further by looking at each part of the chest. We have the clavicular head, the sternocostal head, and then the lower secondary pecs. So you can kind of shift the emphasis of which area of the musculature that you're targeting depending on what you're after. So for example, since the chest trains humeral flexion, we know that bringing our arms further up while we're doing the press is going to be shifting the emphasis from the lower portion of the chest up to the clavicular head, which is the upper portion. So just by kind of positioning your body differently in space and then pressing in accordance with that, you can preferentially target one head of the musculature over another. Number 2 is that the targeted muscle should be the limiting factor in the lift. What do I mean by this, though? Well, let's take back movements, for example. On all back movements, since you're not pressing, you're going against gravity most of the time, you're actually going to be having your grip playing a large role. So all your forearm musculature, all of the extensors and flexors are going to be playing a large role in order to grip onto that bar and not let it go, or whatever you're gripping onto. And that can be a real challenge because for most people, our grips are way less as strong as the muscles behind us in our back. Like the lats are way stronger than the grip, et cetera, all the muscles in the back. So therefore, if your grip gives out before your back does, then do you think that that's really going to be the best use of your time? I would strongly disagree. I would strongly say that it will not be. I think that whenever you are training a certain body part, say you're doing a vertical row or a horizontal row or whatever, and your grip gives out first, that means that you're just leaving like gains out there in the nether, since we know that we want to be approaching failure when we're doing our exercises in order to spike the most muscle growth in hypertrophy, aka hypertrophy, that we possibly can. Pillar numero tres is to take a muscle through the stretched position. It's been shown time and time again in the literature that a stretched position for a muscle is going to maximize hypertrophy, in the sense of it can increase hypertrophy as much as like 1.5 fold. But that's really, I mean, it's definitely like case dependent. Like not every single muscle is going to gain that much from the stretch, but we're at least talking like a 10% increase. And guys, after all, lifting in the gym is tough work. We're doing it day in, day out, blood, sweat, and tears, all that jazz. So wouldn't you want to be getting the most that you can out of your training? I know I would. I'm trying to do things optimally as best I can. At least, I'm trying to find that sweet spot of where optimal meets passion and excitement. I think that that's really the best way to go about it because you still want to have fun. what what's the point in ultimately training if we're not having fun anymore, you know? But I just want to highlight that what a stretch position means is the most lengthened position for a muscle. So for example, for the chest, let's bring it back to the chest. At the bottom range, if you just bring your humerus into extension back like this, then you will feel a massive stretch because the muscle of the chest, the fibers are being lengthened, so pulled apart. And that's really what we want. We want that stretch, and we really want to be training that in spades if we can. And you especially want to be emphasizing the stretch. So on like a chest press, kind of do some pausing at the bottom. Make sure you're really capitalizing on that range of motion and keeping the tension tight in that area and in that part of the range. And then you'll be really doing things right. I guarantee it. Pillar number 4 is that constant tension should be involved. And what I mean by that is that throughout whatever range of motion your body can allow, you want to have constant tension upon the musculature. And this is just for the simple fact that our muscles don't know weight. They only know tension. It doesn't know like, oh, I finally hit 135. Oh, I finally hit 225, 2 plates, bro. Our muscles have no recollection, no memory, no regard for how much weight we're actually putting up and all the numbers that we associate things with. That's just a human construct. And therefore, you really just want to make sure that you're capitalizing on that time under tension. That doesn't mean that you just want to go like super slow just to like really milk the whole entire set and make it like a 10-minute set when it should be like 45 seconds. That doesn't do anything for you. But what you do want to be doing is just making sure that you have a powerful concentric, so the pushing parts, and then a slow and deliberate controlled eccentric, and make sure that whatever movement that you're choosing is actually providing constant tension. I love using cables as an example. With a cable machine or with any machine for the most part, there is going to be constant tension throughout the range of motion because gravity isn't having to do that for you. For example, if you're like trying to do a row out here with dumbbells, gravity is going to be pulling down. So the only thing that you're going to be doing is like training your lats isometrically in order to stop the weight from pulling down. But you're not actually getting anything in this range unless you like position yourself horizontally so that gravity is working against you. But with cables or like a machine variation, you know that you're being provided the constant tension because of how the pulley system works, because of, you know, how the weight system works and everything like that. My 5th and final pillar for maximizing hypertrophy on an exercise specific basis is that we want it to be stable. Whenever you're doing a lift from a more stable foundation, you're instantly going to become much more powerful. For any of you guys who have seen my previous videos, I talk about this fact endlessly because I think that not enough people really understand it. Like I see people still doing squats, like single-legged squats on like Bosu balls and doing like their crunches on a Bosu ball, or, you know, just stuff like that. They're making it needlessly unstable. And you go up to them, you ask them, hey, what are your goals? They're like, oh, I'm just trying to get huge, you know, I'm just trying to work on everything. If your goals are to get as big as you can, then you want to be more stable so that you can take the muscle through that constant tension and you can progressively overload and you can actually like bring it towards failure. Because if you're doing something from an unstable base like that, an exercise from an unstable base, then you're going to be leaking so much power that how are you ever going to take a muscle to its full like finishing point? You're going to end up falling off of that damn ball before you get to the finish line. So, you know, I'm looking for a seat. I'm looking for a back support. It sounds lazy, and you know, you don't always have to do this because there is kind of like the other side of the coin. Like there's one school of thought where it's like we're adding so much balance control into the lift that we're just leaking so much power. But then there's the other side where we're doing this athletically and it's for a purpose athletically. So for example, like a standing military barbell press, that's one where it's an athletic movement, but it can still be used for hypertrophy. And the reason why I say that is because you're standing, you're using your core, you're using all these extra muscles besides just your chest, traps, and shoulders, just the whole shoulder girdle and your triceps. And it's not a bad exercise, but we could take it a step further by sitting down in a seat with a back support, because then our core isn't going to be the limiting factor. We're going to be more stable, and we're going to be able to press from a more stable foundation. And that's when like a seated military press may be superior, or like a seated dumbbell military press, I would say, to take it a step further so that you get that full range of motion. But anyways, guys, those are my 5 pillars for exercise-specific hypertrophy. I hope you enjoyed this one. I know that this content style, I started my YouTube channel by doing this type of style, like in a studio setting, but I shifted out of that for various reasons, and now I'd like to bring it back. But I would like to know whether you guys like this format or not. Do you like this type of video, or do you just want me to stick with the training videos or in the cardio chats? Let me know what you think. I'm just curious to hear your opinion. See ya. Bye.